All right, welcome to this episode of, I guess, addressing rumors. I don't know exactly what I'm going to call it, but it's about the removal of all ordinances, specifically the discussion of the removal of all ordinances. Al Richards had brought it up. We had it for discussion at the board. I offered to sit down and do an interview with him, but he thought we were so separate on the issue that there was no point in that. But he'd also posted on Facebook, and we'll see some of that stuff here. That basically, and this is what he offered me too in just direct messages, was that yes, if I bring it back to the board, then then I'm doing a good thing, and no, if I don't, then I'm being a tyrant, and stopping discussions specifically. And my perspective on this is like I've had the personal discussions, brought it to discussion for the board, and have offered to sit down and have more video interviews, more discussion on it. And so I haven't stopped the discussion. All right, but I'll show some of the details on here. So, all right, so you can see my screen. So let's go first to this. So this is the meeting, right? This is it's a YouTube video on the recording of the meeting, and you can see right down here it says, after watching Jeff Martin's brief on this meeting, he has decided on his own to not see on his own is the not true part, to not allow the people of Dalton Township a public meeting for discussion of eliminating ordinances. In essence, he has placed himself over the God-given rights of the people. The process is the trustees vote to recommend the planning board call a public meeting on this issue. Then the planning board set a date for the meeting, allowing us, the township employers, to make the final recommendation. This is just another example of tyrannical action of a corporate employee. Come on, Jeff, you don't have authority to make the decision on our behalf. This is your choice, not ours. Put it to a vote of the trustees so we can see who works for the people. Yes, you want your employers, the people, to decide. No, you will make the decision for us. Right? And so that's kind of the basic proposition. And so it's like, what fully is he talking about here? He'd inquired into it, and I had and said, hey, I'll inquire on the process, specifically, with the lawyer, and get that information to you. So this is where I had emailed him. This was a while ago. 9/11. Wow, that falls on a crazy date. So the process is different than what I would have guessed. It's definitely possible to achieve. I'll include the lawyer explaining the process below. Right, Jeff Martin. So this is the email I was sending to him, and then I quote the lawyer in here, which is that repeal isn't specifically covered but would be handled as an amendment to the zoning ordinance to repeal it. There is no right in a township for a citizen's initiative to force an election to repeal the ordinance. The process would be initiated by the Planning Commission or by vote of the Township Board directing the Planning Commission to hold a public hearing and make a recommendation to repeal the zoning ordinance. Upon receiving the recommendation, the Township Board would determine whether to repeal the zoning ordinance. If the board votes to repeal the ordinance, then at that point, upon petition of 15% of the votes last cast for governor, a referendum would be held on the repeal. The board cannot put the matter to a vote of the citizens by board action. If the referendum is in favor of the repeal, the zoning ordinance is repealed. If the vote is otherwise, the repealing ordinance is not adopted and the zoning ordinance stays in effect. Right? So this is somewhat unfortunate, right? Because I think more stuff should be able to go to a vote of the people. I also don't make state law, which is what we're dealing with here, right? And so this process, like when we want things changed, I've had the board vote on sending stuff to the Planning Commission. They go through setting up their hearings. It comes back to us, right? Stuff that we're in favor of changing, that we want to pursue. Right? And so a decent way to start this, and I've done this with a bunch of different things. So here's the board packet, right? So for the 9th of October, 2023, right? So obviously I've been talking about this for a couple of months and, gathering information. How exactly would it work, right? Communicating on it, communicating with Al on it. And so I added it as a discussion item, which is exactly what I said I would do. Like, we can have the discussion over it. So it's remove all ordinances right there, right? So it's included in the board packet. And then this is the meeting where we had the discussion, right? And so it's right in here, right around 1 hour and 16 minutes in.
you know, whereas if you make a big move and remove everything like that, the things that even currently now exist that people have an issue with, they're going to get blamed on that. I mean, it's going to swing back the other way hard, right? Maybe 4 years. I mean, we have 1 year left, so maybe 5 years from now, swings back the other way hard. Maybe before that, right? So hard to exactly tell when for sure, but I think over a fairly short period of time. And so I like, even if I liked it, I think strategically it would fail. So that's where I am on it. So, but the question ends up being for the next meeting, and obviously the board can say anything else they would want. But am I bringing it to the next meeting for anything else? I would say.
Probably not. But like I sit on this.
All right, and so that is where we're having the discussion as the board. I'll switch my video over here. So that's where we're having the discussion as a board, and I'm specifically asking, like, does anyone want to pursue this? Does anyone want to see this at the next meeting? So the discussion has taken place. I'm welcome to have an interview with anyone on it. We can stick it on YouTube. Right? I think in general, just as a general policy, the discussion is good to have. So I try to default to that. I've been approached by other people just through messages, through the public and stuff, as I've talked to them, that they don't want it pursued, right? And so I've only really had one person that has wanted removing all ordinances pursued in the township, and a few people that haven't. We had the discussion at the board, and none of the board members wanted to bring it to the next meeting to pursue. And so, I've done a decent amount of follow up with this. Had the discussion on it. So I think the idea is kind of ridiculous that I'm stopping the discussion. So, but that's, that way you can kind of see what has occurred around it. I know a number of people are curious in it because I've had some people that I've just met, when I was just out. They're like, hey, I want to ask you a question about this thing. And it was about if we're going to remove all ordinances. And they didn't want to see it happen, is why they were inquiring. So, but anyone can inquire on that stuff anytime. Al Richards is the only person that has followed up and said they wanted to do interviews on things, right? The video interviews are offered to anyone, and on anything. And so I respect and willing to have that discussion, but I think at this point, like, claiming that I'm not willing to have the discussion, just isn't true. So anything, thoughts, ideas, comments, concerns on this or anything else, feel free to reach out. As always, my direct line at the office is area code 231-332-6700, or email supervisor@daltontownship.org. Otherwise, this is Jeff signing off until next time.